What's up guys, Max here. In this video, I just wanted to do a second part on the video I did previously where I went over the 5 common cold email mistakes that I see. In today's video, I'm just doing a part 2 to that. So let's jump into the first one that I see. So it's poor subject lines. So you've got to think that the main goal with a cold email subject line is simply to get the email opened. It doesn't have to be fancy, it doesn't have to be clever, it doesn't have to be creative really in any way. It literally just has to serve the purpose of getting the initial email opened. So some of the best performing subject lines that I've seen have been ones that add in some extra personalization. And by personalization, I'm not talking about first lines, I'm not talking about even particularly relevant information to that prospect. I'm just talking about chucking in their first name and company name. So some quick examples of the best subject lines that I've seen are, for example, quick question for first name, introduction to my name, and then a pipe, and then your name. For example, I'll give some examples here. So, for example, it could be like this. It could be first name, your name. Could be quick question for first name. Could simply just be quick question. I've seen perform very well. It could be, for example, question for company name. But I would definitely recommend just including, if you can, the first name, last name in there. So quick question for first name, last name. Yeah. I mean, just any subject line where you can reference both their first name and their last name is going to perform really well because they know it's specifically for them. Also, try and keep it short. Don't make your subject line too long. A lot of the times the prospects will be reviewing their inbox. They'll be flooded with subject lines that take up the whole preview of the text. So it acts as like a pattern interrupt if your subject line is shorter than the others. So yeah, just try and throw in some variables in there like first name, last name, or company name. Using generic or uninteresting subject lines, like they don't have to be that creative. They just literally have to serve the purpose of getting the email opened. Compelling, concise, and create curiosity. Creating curiosity and concise, I'd say, are the two main important things. If there's no curiosity, then they're not going to open the email. So, lack of research is the second point. So, sending emails without conducting proper research. So, obviously, we know from the last video, if you don't fully understand your target market, if they don't feel like you understand them, they're not going to treat you as having the service to solve their problems. So, just personalize your email by referencing the recipient's industry, recent news, or challenges they may be facing. The prospect can tell immediately by looking at your email how much research you've actually put in to that cold email specifically, how much you actually understand their target market, how much you resonate with them. And they're going to know straight away just by looking at the email how suited you are to actually solving their problems because of the research that you put into it. So imagine if you actually did all the boring stuff that people don't do. Imagine if you actually delved into your ideal customer profile. You actually put time into uncovering their pain points, uncovering their desires, fears, frustrations, etc. And you had a deeper understanding than anyone else who's targeting the same people on your prospects. Are they going to feel more understood? Are they going to feel more communicated with? Absolutely. And like for every pain point that you can find, that's another angle that you can use. For every desire you find that your prospects have, that's another angle that you can use. So it's really endless. When people say it doesn't work, usually they haven't done enough of the boring stuff. They haven't analyzed sales calls. They haven't looked at objections they're getting. They haven't looked at objections they're getting on sales calls or outreach replies. And they just haven't actually taken the time to really dive deeply into exactly what the prospect wants. Most people have a deep understanding of their service and not the prospect. Really should be the other way around. You should aim to find out everything about your prospect and then create the service around what your prospect actually wants. Overusing jargon. So I really wish I could include an example of an email someone sent me on LinkedIn the other day. He just sent me a copy of an email he was sending out to influencer marketing companies. Essentially, he was just overusing jargon. He was using all these big words, all these fancy words. He wasn't actually dumbing it down. The premise of a cold email, it should be that a 5-year-old can read it. A 5-year-old should be able to understand this cold email, that you really shouldn't be using any random technical terms or jargon. Even if you don't understand the niche, for example, if I was targeting cybersecurity companies, even if someone, let's say like my friend down the road, he wanted to look at the email, he should be able to understand what it's selling. Like anyone who looks at the email should be able to understand what it's selling. Don't use any jargon or technical terms. It's really going to come back to bite you. So just keep it extremely simple. Anyone should be able to read it. Communicate in a clear and easily understandable language that resonates with your audience. So feel free to throw in some terms that your target audience actually uses. For example, you want to resonate with them, you want to speak their language. For example, if you're reaching out to roofers, for example, on email, which you probably shouldn't do, it's probably better to cold call them. But you're not going to be reaching out to them and saying like, oh, I hope you're having a stupendous day, for example. Like they're probably not, like maybe I'm stereotyping, but they're probably not going to use that type of language. So ignoring proofreading and grammar is another huge mistake that people make. Honestly, as humans are born to avoid pain and just do everything with the least amount of pain required, it's so easy just to write out some copy, you think, oh, this is going to work, send it off straight away. And obviously what you're not doing there is proofreading it for grammatical and spelling errors. So you really, really, really want to take the time to actually go through the copy, make sure it all makes sense, make sure the punctuation's in the right places. And yeah, you can use the Chrome extension Grammarly to make sure that it's all okay as well. I should make it really easy. Grammarly just solves 99% of problems here. So proofread your email multiple times and use grammar checking tools to ensure accuracy. You also can send off your email to multiple people just so they can look over your email, make sure that it's okay, make sure it looks good to them, there's no grammatical errors, because it may all seem good to you, but you do have biases, and it's good to get a second view on that as well. That goes for both proofreading and just generally that could go for overusing jargon, etc. A lot of other things. So last mistake I see is failure to build rapport. So you've got to think from their perspective. They don't know you unless they've engaged with your content, which is probably, the chances of that are very minuscule with how large the B2B market is, or the B2C market, whoever you're targeting in cold email. You have to think you're a completely random person, so why should they trust you? So it definitely helps to reference some type of rapport you have with them. So you can reference an existing connection. Maybe you've scraped off Sales Navigator. Maybe you're both connected with a certain person on LinkedIn. Maybe you have something in common. Maybe you live in the same state. Maybe you can segment your lead list to actually reach out to them and try and build rapport. For example, hey, I saw you lived in Texas. I'm not far from there. Thought I'd reach out, etc. It's just a random example off the top of my head, but try and build rapport, try and see it from their perspective and know that you're just a random person. Comes down to A, you can use personalization, B, you can just segment your lead list and reference the segmentation. So yeah, start your email with a warm greeting and try and find common ground or shared interests to create a personal connection. So start your email with a warm greeting. I see a lot of people saying like, I hope you're doing well, I hope you're okay, hope Tuesday is going well for you, for example. Personally, I've always seen cold email from the lens of every extra word you add, which doesn't add value, is an extra reason for them to take longer to read the email, and therefore decreases reply rates. So I purposely try and stay away from adding in pointless phrases. I see them as pointless. For example, I hope you're doing well, or just thought I'd reach out, or hope you're doing well today. Just for example, because I don't actually think it adds any value to the email. I don't think it actually gives them any more incentive to reply. So if you're going to throw in some sort of rapport building like that, definitely actually make it relevant to them. Reference the fact that you've done your research, that you have a connection in common, for example, that you live in the same area, that you make a joke about where they live, for example, not an insulting joke, but you reference the state they live in, for example, or you just reference the segmentation that you've done on the lead list. So that's 5 common mistakes that I see in cold email. Again, there's tons more. I'm probably going to do another part to this series at some point, but this is my second video doing it, and it's just come straight after the first part, so it might be a little bit. But we're currently partnering with established marketing agencies who are doing over 50K a month in revenue, and we're partnering with them to add $1 million a year in 6 to 12 months on a complete pay on results basis. if you are interested in that at all, there'll be a link in the description below to book a call with myself, where we can just go over everything that you're currently doing outbound wise, and I can give you some tips and see if I can actually help you with that. So yeah, let me know. Obviously, no strings attached, no problem if you don't want to book it. But yeah, thank you. That's everything for the video, and I hope you enjoyed it.